friends. Having an old witch as her next door neighbour was the last thing that Victoria Vampire wanted. No sooner had Winnie moved in, complete with her broomstick, cauldron, pointed hat, and all manner of pots and potions, then weird things began to happen whenever Winnie stirred up a magical brew indoors. The mass of stars and sparks would fly out the chimney of her tumbled-down old cottage like a fantastic fireworks show. The whizzed safely beyond her own little cottage garden and landed in the grounds of Victoria's dark and spooky house instead. Victoria's clean washing was soon spotted with sooty marks, and 2 big holes were burned in her best black cloak. Then there was the smell, or more precisely the stinky pong, whatever was bubbling away in Winnie's cauldron. It was definitely not leek or potato soup. The awful aroma wafted across in the dark turrets of Victoria's home. In no time it had disturbed Victoria's precious colony of bats that lived in the attic. They poured like black trickle out of a small skylight and fluttered away, hid in the dark, distant cave, and as if losing her pets wasn't bad enough, Victoria had to keep every door and window tightly closed against the sink. It was enough to make her flash her fangs in anger. There was worse to come. Winnie's 2 cats, Scratch and Sniff, were mouse mad. They chased them non-stop. So one day, when they spotted some of Victoria's woodshed, when they were spotted some by Victoria's woodshed, the mean-eyed cats set off in hot pursuit. The trouble was that Victoria had just entered the shed to fetch some logs for her fire. Now, being a vampire, she didn't like going out in daylight, and as usual was wearing her dark sunglasses, so she didn't see Scratch and Sniff slink into the shed. She just felt the sting of their claws as she tripped over them, and they lashed out at her legs. Victoria let out a blood-curdling scream. The startled cat screeched. Yarwood went flying, and so did Victoria. She crashed into the door, bumping her head and breaking an arm off her precious sunglasses. Meanwhile, the cats sulkily slipped away, having lost the mice who had taken advantage of all the commotion and disappeared. Victoria tried to balance her broken sunglasses back on her nose. Then she felt inside her mouth and winced. It had broken one of her fine fangs. When she fell over, that was the last straw. "That does it," she hissed. "I'm going to have a not-so-neighbourly word with that pesky witch." Victoria marched straight over of her own gate, up the front path to Winnie's cottage, and thumped on the door. But Winnie was in the back garden practicing some spelling. She was concentrating so hard that she did not hear the visiting vampire. Winnie waved her wand at the carpet beater lying on the lawn. Nearby, a large dusty rug hung on the washing line. Eye of newt and lizard spleen, carpet beater started clean, she chanted. There you are, cried Victoria, stomping around the side of the cottage. I've got a bone to pick with you. Oh, good. Come inside, then. I'm hungry too, said Winnie, smiling innocently at her. Victoria was about to set Winnie straight and give her a piece of her mind, when she suddenly stopped dead in her tracks. Something was floating towards her. It was the carpet beater. Instead of giving the rug a good dusting, it swished and swiped at Victoria. Ooh, ah, help, she wailed, as the carpet beater chased her out of Winnie's garden and all the way home. She sat and sulked until the moon rose. Enough's enough, she thought. It's time I taught that tiresome witch a lesson. She stomped out into the darkness and was soon hard at work in Winnie's garden, pulling up all the magic plants and trampling on the special herb patch. Then she spied, scratched and sniffed, curled up, fast asleep in a basket by an open window. Reaching in with both hands, she caught hold of their long whiskers and pulled with all her might. Ping, ping! The furious cats howled in pain and leapt in the air. By using some special vampire magic of her own, Victoria turned herself into a bat and took off into the night. But she hadn't flown far when suddenly something whizzed past her like a rocket. It was Winnie on her broomstick, caught in the slipstream. Victoria was tossed about like a leaf in a storm. She had just made a bumpy landing on Winnie's lawn when the witch swooped down and landed right on top of her. As Scratch prepared to pounce, thinking that might make a tasty alternative to a mouse, Victoria changed her back with a flash, but she was bruised and breathless. Oh, my back, Victoria groaned. Dearie me, wailed the witch. It's all my fault. I had no idea it was you. Here, please let me help. Victoria was too weary to argue, and helped when he certainly did. Over the next few days, nothing was too much trouble for her. She insisted that Victoria rest at home in bed while she cooked a surprisingly tasting beetroot soup. It was such a delicious deep red color that Victoria had to have some. It would have been better if those pesky cats hadn't dug up my herbs, mind you, said Winnie. While Victoria guiltily enjoyed another bowlful, Winnie searched her spell book. I knew it was here somewhere, she said. Winnie waved her wand and chanted something about taking care of canines. Then, in a flash, Victoria's two beautiful long sharp teeth were perfect again. Thanks very much, she joked. Further spells repaired the holes in Victoria's cloak, cleaned up her washing, and brought her bats back to the loft. Another spell made Winnie's broom sweep up the woodshed. Scratch and Sniff eagerly caught every mouse in Victoria's house, which made up a bit for losing their whiskers. Victoria felt ashamed for trying to teach the kind witch a lesson. I feel so much better, smiled Victoria, getting up at last. You're a wonder, Winnie. Nonsense, nothing like a spell in bed, the witch replied modestly as she gave her newfound friend a hug.